Well, first of all, thank you very much to our last panel. And now we move on to what I'm sure will be one of the highlights of this HCM, because we have with us Teresa Ribera, Third Vice President and Minister of Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenge. And a few weeks ago, you were also elected to the European Parliament, so congratulations on that. So let's give her a big hand of applause. I have very fond memories of when we were colleagues during my time as Climate and Energy Minister, and unlike myself, you had the stamina to keep on fighting for climate change in the various COP negotiations. Thank you very much for that as well. Recently, some of us were cheering when you said the following, I quote, that there is no economic lasting prosperity if we do not take into consideration environmental aspects, quote unquote. Who knows, we may soon see you in the Parliament, but right now you are with us, and we're very grateful for that. Teresa Ribera, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It is a great pleasure to be here in this fantastic setting with, I'm sure, such a good discussion. After such a good discussion in these 3 days in Madrid, in this very tricky moment in time, and to do it surrounded by so many committed European people. People willing to identify where the main challenges are and how to provide solutions, alternatives, proposals to build around these demands coming from the society. And to do it with Carl Bildt, who has been and is still, I would say, a wise thinker and bold doer, investor in peace, investor in Europe, investor in multilateralism. As it is the case for Lieke. Yes, I know very well how you may feel right now, enjoying life beyond beyond COPs, beyond climate COPs, which are always challenging, and show us lots of the things that we still need to do. I'm going to be quite brief, but I would like to raise a couple, 2 or 3 main messages that I think are important right now. The first of them is we should recover the pride of the European dream. We hear once and again, and now we risk hearing a lot about the American dream. But sorry, the dream of most of the citizens around the world looks like much more the European dream than the American dream. And I think that we should take notice of this and remember that either we take care of our own dream or we may wake up in a kind of nightmare. And when I think about the European dream, I'm referring to different aspects. How to build economic performance, innovation, good and sound industry, how to build social welfare, how to ensure that people, citizens, enjoy life, because there are many things that are already ensured in their day-to-day life, and how we care and defend about human values, human rights, peace, cooperation, solidarity, flexibility, building together, complementarities. And we have been working and investing for a very long time around these ideas. And all those values are still valid. Even in a context where we have been going through difficult moments in the last 5 years, even in the last 10 years, we have gone through financial shocks, we have gone through this terrible impact of global pandemic, and we have gone through these wars, these crises, these conflicts within Europe or in the neighborhood. We have been witnessing to what extent the use of fuels, of energy, as a war weapon has affected our economy, but has proven to what extent working together, building on unity, flexibility, and solidarity, we have the capacity to respond. And I think that still, this is an additional proof why to be proud of the European dream. The question mark is how we can keep on going around this European dream project in the coming years. And we know that along these years, because of this crisis, there has been a social toll to be paid, a raise of inequalities among Europeans, a raise of lack of confidence on the capacity of the European institutions and the European project to respond to the challenges, and a hunger of additional responses and additional confidence on our capacities to respond. This is why it is quite incredible to think that there may be responses that go along the sidelines of these realities instead of tackling these challenges in a clear manner, in a transparent manner. When I say this, I mean that we still need to reduce the inequality gap, that we still need to invest in our economy and the way we produce wealth, that we still need to defend our values, and that unity, solidarity, flexibility are valid principles within Europe, but also are also guiding principles in the multilateralist arena, in the building responses to the global challenges through the multilateral arena. I think that this is what we identify as aspects being at risk in this cycle. And my conviction, and I come back to Like's comment, is that the green agenda sometimes is being used as the non-brain in this discussion. We have been using different examples in the last weeks, in the last month. We have been talking about the EVs coming from China, the competitiveness of our industry, the capacity to react to the global challenges, the risk of seeing ourselves between China and the US, the different conflicts in the geopolitical context, and the capacity of Europe to respond to these challenges. But in fact, it is like going in a bicycle. The climate system is not going to wait for a good moment for Europe to react. The rest of the world is not going to wait for Europe being in a good moment to react. We need to ride, or the bicycle goes down. The question is that we need to ride in an improved manner to avoid going cycling with no sense of direction or with the risk of having an accident. I'm convinced that the European business community is fully aware of what the Green Agenda means. And the Green Agenda means investing in an update of the capacities of the industrial reality in Europe to be more competitive, to attract the confidence of investors, to build new jobs, and to build a new economy, to be attractive to innovate and to provide solutions to the main challenges. The Green Agenda means new opportunities for ensuring that the supply of energy is ensured, that we count on a much more safe space for the access to the materials that we need to the value chain of our industrial processes, or affordable, stable, and predictable prices for energy. But it is also a source of attractiveness in order to identify what type of additional capacities we may require in terms of education, in terms of relationship with others. And this is why I'm convinced that when someone is asking what it is going to happen with the Green Agenda in the next European cycle, my response is, it is going to be there. Of course it is going to be there. It is the main driver for innovation. It is the main driver for ensuring a strong economy. It is the main driver to build additional jobs. It is the main driver to have a healthy and fair external dimension of the European views, to build a multilateralism, to avoid conflicts, to invest in peace. The reasons why people is asking about the Green Agenda, wondering if it is good or bad, it is not denying. It is not because they deny the fact that we have an energy crisis, an environmental crisis, or a climate crisis, but because they do not trust the way we respond, or they cannot go along these very intense changes in such a short period of time. The response to that should be how we can ensure a much more better dialogue with the innovation, industry, and business community, how we can ensure a much more clear dialogue with the public opinion, with the people, so bridging the green and the social agendas in such a way that there is nobody thinking that they should be fearing the changes that they are going through. We should be thinking on how we introduce this green agenda in this external dimension that still lacks a lot of commitment or understanding on the strategic position of this. And we should be thinking how we can combine the very short-term requirements that are still there, and of course security and defense and the neighborhood relations are part of the main discussions for the time to be, including the southern challenges in Europe, while not delaying what we know we have to do. I guess that this is going to be part of the challenges, but very honestly, I think that in case we do not respond to the challenges, we feel the temptation of forgetting about the challenges, forgetting about the reality will be much worse. This is not about thinking green or not green. This is thinking whether we want to invest in the creation of new opportunities for Europe or whether we wake up in the three dimensions: the domestic dimension, wealth, prosperity, social justice, and values, included the economic performance of our countries; the external dimension, conflicts, multilateralism, conflicts versus multilateralism and peace; and the capacity to create opportunities or the assumption of paying the cost of doing nothing or delaying action. So I'm sure that this is something where we will be requiring a much more deeper conversation between the different stakeholders, including, of course, ECFR. Thanks a lot for coming to Madrid, for taking the time to open a great discussion along the different lines and the different challenges for the Europe in the time to come. And we count on you. We count on you, on your capacity to assess what it is happening here and outside, and how we can build proposals to keep on going, to keep on building the European project. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for these important and necessary words at the end of our discussions here. And for me, it's just a question of saying a couple of words before we all depart. And all great things have to come to an end, and that includes this particular conference as well. We live in, I think that's been fairly obvious, we live in troubled times. The question of order, disorder, new order, old orders, new orders, global disorder, whatever, has been, I think, the theme running through virtually every discussion. And it reminded me earlier this morning of one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite European thinkers who left us a year ago. And that's Henry Kissinger in his fabulous book, which is by now nearly 15 years old, on world order, where he said that we are indeed entering troubling times. Are we facing a period in which forces beyond the restraints of any order will determine the future? That was 2010. And since then, we have gone through, from the European point of view, Brexit, Trump won, a pandemic, we are in the middle of a major war. And it's been a rough ride for us Europeans and for the European institutions. But looking back on it, I think we should be fairly confident, perhaps even, let's exaggerate, slightly optimistic, in the sense that the European Union has proved itself to be an amazingly effective, not necessarily reshaper of the global order, but an amazingly effective crisis manager for the nation states that makes up its members. He's been managing to get us together as nations, get us together as different political forces, get us together to manage the one bloody crisis after the other. There's been a black swan after the other, and the European Union have been able to handle them all. I think that inspires, in the middle of the mess, because it is a mess, should inspire some sort of confidence and some sort of confidence in the future, because looking forward, as we've been noticing in our discussions, is not going to be less of challenges. And what will be needed is, of course, the ability to work together, but also the depth of policy and the depth and the policy analysis that ECFR will be able to provide. And ECFR is an amazing collection of people working at the different offices, but primarily it's all of you. ECFR is the sum of what you make as your intellectual contribution to our common efforts to bring to the crisis management, the policy shaping, the order, trying to reorder and bring a better order to the world that we bring to the European efforts. I'm not going to say exactly what we're going to do and what are the most important things, but in my opinion, and going back to where we started when Ivan opened with one picture and of the Ukraine situation. And they're going to make fun of me in the ECFR board after this, because I've been somewhat critical of us devoting too much attention to one opinion poll after the other. But here was one that I think was striking, that 2 years into a major war, the Europeans are determined to continue to support Ukraine. And I think there's one message that we should bring back after these days here. All of those who are, to take a word of the last debate, or the latest panel, all of those who are serious about peace, and we should be serious about peace in this war. And every war ends with some sort of a political agreement. But those of us who are serious about peace should do our utmost to support Ukraine so that that peace can be shaped, restoring and respecting the sovereignty of Ukraine, also thus defending long-term the sovereignty and independence of every other European state that at some point in time could be the subject of what we unfortunately now see Ukraine being the subject to. So let's bring those thoughts with us home, that in spite of the mess, in spite of the black swans, in spite of a global disorder, Europe has proved to be an effective crisis manager. We have been firm in support for Ukraine, and we at ECFR have shown our strength in providing policies and analysis and thoughts to the Europe that we want to shape. So by that, ending by just doing what I think we all feel should be done, thanking all those who've made these days here in Madrid possible, getting everyone together, the organization, the sun, certainly, a slight abundance in that particular aspect, but everything has been perfect. Amanda, Carla, and the Madrid office in particular, but then all of the fantastic ECFR staff here and at the offices around Europe. Thank you, safe travels, and see you soon again. Peace be upon you all.
Thank you. Lunch is served outside. I will ask ECFR staff to stay for a picture.